As a reminder, my name is Nicholas Edwards. I am the Associate Director of Middle and Upper School Admissions here at InAmerica Education. And today I have the pleasure of introducing another personal favorite, Trinity-Pawling School. This gym is a boarding and day school located in Pawling, New York. It begins at grade 7, and Trinity-Pawling creates a distinguished community allowing for boys to grow in this well-nurtured environment. So instead of me sharing more about why I love Trinity-Pawling, I'm going to introduce Miss Kim, who is the Associate Director of Admissions. Kim, you can take it from here. The floor is yours. We're all excited to hear more about Trinity-Pawling today.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay.
Okay. So good morning to everybody. I'm so glad that you could come and let me present our school to you. We had a little bit of a mix up here today. We had a power outage here, so I'm not able to be on campus. So I hope that my internet connection is going to be okay because I'm at a friend's house right now. But I am here and I'm happy that I'm going to present. Would you like me to go ahead and share my screen?
Yep, so you can go ahead and share your screen. As I said, the floor is yours. You can just go through your whole entire PowerPoint deck, and then when you finish, we'll open it up to questions. So you don't have to worry about anything going on in the chat right
now. Okay, very good, very good. So Trinity-Pawling School is a school that is located in Pawling, New York, which is about 60 miles north of Manhattan. We're right on the Metro North train line, so very convenient to New York City. If I can get this to go. We have 280 boys. We are an all-boys school. And we have a very dynamic course load here. We have experiential learning with a lot of project-based things going on. We have a lot of things going on in the arts. We have innovative sites on campus where the students can use computers and have maker spaces so they can learn in all different ways. Boys learn best when they're doing things. And so we keep them up and active and very busy all during the day. We have a 5-to-1 student to teacher ratio, which is a really nice ratio, small classes. And we offer for the students that are interested in athletics, we have 35 athletic teams with 14 different sports available. If you can see kind of where we are on the map there. Like I said, we're only 60 miles from New York City. We take advantage. We go to the city. We see plays. We take the students to the city on weekends to go to museums and even just to go to eat. The food in New York City is fantastic. So we even take kids into the city to eat. It's about an hour and 15-minute ride on a train from here. The train comes right for our little town here in Pawling. Right out of Grand Central Station in New York City. So very, very convenient to get back and forth for us. The campus here is 230 acres. We're located in what's known as the Hudson Valley in New York. It's very beautiful. We're close to New York City, but it's very much a country feel here. Lots of woods, lots of land. We have a beautiful farm on our property. We have many athletic facilities. We have a beautiful pond. The kids can learn how to fish and canoe and row boats. And then we also have, if I can get to my next, I apologize because this is not a computer I'm used to or anything. We also have our academic building. It's not showing. Here we go. Which has multimedia classrooms. So you'll have some standard classrooms that'll have desks either in groups or in circles. We really don't do the traditional learning experience where kids are just learning in their seats in a row. The kids are actively learning in their classrooms. They are participating with the teacher. There's a lot of interactive classes with film and digital type things. So very innovative. They're still going to take tests. They're still going to do, the regular things that kids do in school. They'll read, they'll have books, but they will incorporate this other type of learning, this kind of 21st century learning with kind of a traditional, less traditional, but still some of the traditional aspects there. Our boys, come on. Our boys eat in Scully Dining Hall. They have 3 meals a day there. Breakfast and dinner are cafeteria style, where the boys go down and they eat at their leisure with their friends. But during lunchtime, the entire school, all of the teachers, all of the students go at one time. We sit at tables. We go in and get the food, and we have a family style meal. We talk to each other. We ask each other how our days are. We're very, very community minded here. So we want to gather in the morning to meet before school, and then we meet again at lunchtime. It's kind of just us all as one cohesive group. Here we go. The Gardner Learning Commons, which in layman's terms would be a library, is another very innovative area. It was recently redone. The spaces are geared towards students learning in groups, collaboratively. So they're learning from each other, not just from the teachers. It's very techy in there. Everything is kind of set up for the kids to be able to use things wirelessly or to plug in very easily to things. All of our research programs and everything happen online these days. We no longer have to have these libraries that contain all these research books and everything. Everything is pretty much internet based now. So the Learning Commons is very comfortable. It's a wonderful place to not only learn, but it's also a great place for the kids to gather. We have a coffee bar in there, so they can come in the evening, get together with friends, do homework there, and grab a coffee and relax while they're also learning. Outdoors, like I said, we have 230 acres. This is a picture of our pond. We have a beautiful patio and a fire pit next to the pond. So often in the evenings, at this time of year and in the springtime, students are outside gathering with friends when we're not in school. These are different profiles of our students. Trinity-Pawling students, graduates are thinkers, they're collaborators, they're good citizens, they're self-aware, and they're communicators. Those are 5 things that we really, really want kids to be by the time they leave here and they move on to college from here. We are an all-boys school because boys learn differently. They learn better when things are hands-on. They learn better when they're collaborating. They learn better when they're actively involved. We understand boys. We've done a lot of research. So we teach to the boys. And that is a reason why, if you have a son, you might want them to go to an all-boys school. Many kids can do well in co-ed environments, but there are students that just do better in an environment where it's a single gender. These are the ways that we show, just a few of our ways that we show our academic success. So our class size is only about 11 students in a class. You may have classes that are smaller, and you could randomly have a class that's a bit bigger, but most of the classes will be 10 or 11 students. It is project-based learning that we're doing here. We're putting all of the knowledge that they're learning into action, which is what project-based learning is about. Again, a 1-to-5 faculty, student-teacher faculty ratio. And the classrooms are again in the round, or they will be grouped in large groups. We live here on campus with the students. All of the faculty live here. So the students have access to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It makes for a very busy life for us teachers and people that work at the school. But for the kids, when they're here, it creates great success for them to know that they have our support when they need it. We have a very individualized college counseling program here. We have a roughly 85 to 90 students in our senior class every year, and they get a lot of attention from the 3 different people that work in our college counseling office. Um, we pretty much help them with that process from the very start of figuring out where they want to go to school, right through the application process, to make sure that everything is happening. Well, you guys as parents are very far away, so we help them to make sure that the process is very smooth and taken care of. We also have a reading and writing lab for students. So many students that come from other countries, international students, will be in our English mastery program. So we have a reading and writing lab for those students. Students that don't need the reading and writing lab because they don't speak English also will use that. Many of our American students will go into those labs and meet with teachers to work on papers and things. So it's not just for the students that are international, but our international kids definitely will focus there and take advantage of those teachers that will help them. On weekends, we do not have classes like many boarding schools do. We have the Institutes for Active Learning. There's an environmental, an entrepreneurship, citizenship, and a leadership institute. Every Saturday morning for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, we dedicate it to one of those institutes, and the kids are actively involved. If it's an environmental stewardship institute, they might be outdoors, hiking, working on our farm, learning about beekeeping. We have bees, we make our own honey. If it's a citizenship institute, there may be a speaker talking to them about being good global citizens, about just learning to live together as one on this planet instead of all of the different divides that we've created in this world. We're trying to bring the kids together in this environment to learn to be one. Um, Likewise, entrepreneurship will go into entrepreneurial type of activities for kids that might want to branch out and become entrepreneurs as they get older. So it's teaching them about learning a craft and how to um, bring that craft to the world. And then the Leadership Institute is kind of self-explanatory. It's teaching boys to become leaders among their peers and leaders in a global world. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going back. We have something here called the Effort Challenge. The Effort Challenge is a program that we have where students earn effort grades for everything that they do on campus. So they're earning the effort grades in their classes, but they're also earning them in the dormitory, on the playing field, in activities, clubs, everything that they do. They're earning these numbers that are from 1 to 4. 1 is the best, 4 is not the best, but it's not terrible either. But it lets the students know, aside from their academic grades, how we as a teaching faculty feel that the students are doing here. So if they're getting a 1 or a 2 on their effort challenge, they know that we're recognizing their hard work and that we think they're doing well. If they're getting 4s, they know that we think that they can do better. So it helps them to know what we're thinking by having this program. Many schools do effort type grades for the academic component, but we're one of the few that do it across the board for everything kids do. And we've had this program here since the late 1960s. So we were kind of, I think, pioneers in this area. When other schools wanted to kind of start this stuff, they didn't really know where to go. And then a lot of people came to us to learn about what we did with effort because we had been doing it such a long time. It's very, very effective, and the boys respond to it really, really well. Athletics at Trinity-Pawling. We have a wide range of interscholastic athletics where students can play at a very high level. We have a JV athletic level, and we have a thirds athletic level, and we have a recreational athletic level. So everyone at school can play a sport if they'd like to. Some students will opt out of sports and do theater or music, or they may work as a manager for a team, or they might do our farming program. But a lot of kids want to play sports, and sometimes they've never had an opportunity to do that. And because we offer the lower levels of sports, they can try. And if you have a student that really loves a sport and he's good at it, they can begin to excel. We can help them to get to a point where maybe they might want to play in college or something like that. The next slide is going to be about our farm that I talked about. So the farm, you can see the boys have bee suits that they can wear and take care of bees. We just harvested, I see the tractor there with all the gourds. We just harvested all our pumpkins and our gourds. We have hundreds and hundreds of them. They're all over campus. The greenhouse that you see the kids standing behind, they built that greenhouse. And they do all the work on the farm. And then we eat everything that we grow on our farm. So it's a really, students, I think, get as much out of being in the farming program as they do being in a sport. They might even get more out of this. And in the off season, they can visit recycling plants and farms, and they learn about sustainability and how we as humans relate to our planet and the land that we live on. They'll do that type of stuff in the colder months, so that because they can't be outside working on the farm. The arts at Trinity-Pawling, we have a full scope of arts here. Students can be involved in many different vocal groups for vocal music. We have instrumental groups where they can be in a jazz band, or they can take lessons. We have a string orchestra sometimes. It depends on how many kids play strings in a year. Some years there's not enough kids to have a full orchestra, so we just will have smaller groups. And then in the fine arts, there is everything from ceramics, photography, oil painting, watercolors, drawing, you name it. There's a full array of arts. So kids can go off to art school from here. They can become graphic designers. They can go into digital arts. They might want to become filmmakers, that kind of thing. We offer a full scope of the arts. And then to round it out, we have a really nice performing arts program. Students do 3 plays a year, a fall, a winter, and a spring play. And we supplement a lot of that performing arts too by heading into New York City and getting the kids involved in plays in New York. We often will go to a play, and then after a play, we have the privilege of being allowed to go backstage. So again, New York City kind of plays into proximity of New York, plays into our campus being close by. The kids have many, many clubs they can join here as well. There's all kinds of, I think we have on campus now 58 clubs, and it runs, you can see a few there, the drone club, but they walk dogs. We have 35 dogs on campus. Kids fish. I am in charge of the baking club with a friend here, a teacher here on campus. So anything you can think of, we probably have a club for. And if we don't, and you'd like it to be a club, you can ask about that, and we'll get a teacher to kind of be a mentor with you, and we will get you guys involved in a club that you really want to be a part of. College counseling and matriculation. The kids go to schools where I think that they're going to fit in really well. The college counselors work with the students to make sure that they're looking at schools where they're going to fit in and do well. Every year you'll have kids that'll go off to Ivy League schools, but well, Ivies always sound so great and wonderful. They're not for everybody. They're not, there's schools here in the Northeast called NESCAC schools. They're wonderful, wonderful schools. And they offer as much as an Ivy League does. So for some kids, they're going to want to go to other schools. You're going to also have your art students are going to want to go to different schools too. So we send kids to a very wide range of schools, and we really concentrate on the student when we're picking those schools with the kids and with the parents. We call ourselves the Pride. So we are a pride of lions here. Our mascot is a lion, but we call it, it's kind of Go Pride when you're at a game. So the students are, I think, because it's an all boys school, there's a really great camaraderie at our sports events. The students love to come down when we have a night football game or a night soccer game. They'll come down and we'll turn the lights on and we'll let the kids tailgate and eat food and cheer on their teammates. So the pride is a very big part of who Trinity-Pawling is, that kind of school spirit that it brings. How to apply to the school? I would say the easiest way is through the internet these days. You will go to our website, and from the website you can complete an inquiry form. That'll show up right on the homepage of our website. From there, if you're considering applying and you want to go right ahead, you can click onto admissions and go right through the application process. It's pretty, I think most schools use a Common App these days, so it's pretty easy to do this process because you can apply through the Common App and then you can send that out to all of the different schools you want to go to. You may bump into a school here and there that still uses other forms of applications, but most I think you'll find will use the Common App. And then through that process, you will be assigned to a counselor here. Someone like me, I work with many families, but that counselor is a go-to person for you too during that time. So you are welcome to always contact us if you're having trouble with an application or if you just have questions about the school. You are always welcome to just kind of, contact us by email or we can even Zoom. I Zoom many families that are international. So that's kind of it for my presentation. I know it's kind of a long one. I apologize for that. And I'd love to answer questions if anybody has them.
Yeah, Kim, I actually want to say thank you for sharing all this information. I know that I, of course, have visited Trinity-Pawling. I think I've spoken to you over the phone at least 3-4 times at this point. So I just have to say that Trinity-Pawling is an amazing space, especially to send your child. But of course, if you are interested in learning more, this is a very responsive admissions team. That's why I do love that about you guys. Whenever I call, Kim is always there or someone else on your team, definitely to pick up. So very responsive. So, Kim, I know there have been some questions on the side that have been going in the chat. I also have some questions of my own, that I plan on asking you. And actually, my first one is just, in your opinion, what is the biggest benefit that you have seen in terms of sending your child to an all-boys school?
I think the biggest benefit I've seen, and I will preface this with that I have been at this school for 31 years. So, and I've always been in the admissions office. So I've done this a long time. And I think what the boys get when they come to a school like this is they build a self-confidence in themselves that I don't think they can always get from a bigger school and sometimes from a school that's co-ed because kids sometimes are intimidated and they're shy and they won't want to come out of their shells. And I think by coming here, that is what I see most. When a boy comes in here as a ninth grader or as an eighth grader, I see them that senior year before they leave. The biggest change I see is how they come into themselves and they become very self-confident people that know when they go out in the world that they're going to have the right answers, that we've given them the right tools, and that they're going to be successful.
Excellent. And actually, I think that was a perfect segue into this question because a lot of parents normally ask me this about all boys schools. So of course, if you're sending your child to a single sex school, you're sending them to a Trinity-Pawling, how are, your boys able to interact maybe with other schools, possibly all girls schools? What sort of relationship building are you able to do with outside of that single gender, single sex?
Sure. That's a great question. So we do a lot of things with girls' schools. We do things with all schools. There's lots of activities that happen in between, with schools that are all in what we call the Founders League. That's the sports league that we're in. And it makes it easy for us to all get together because we all have the same schedule since we play games and things on the same day. But we specifically, every single week, do a single gender school meetup. So every Saturday night of this school year, Trinity-Pawling gets together with 8 other single-sex schools. 4 of them are
Hmm.
boys' schools, 5 of them are girls' schools, and they do activities. They'll come to different camps. Sometimes they'll come here. We might go to Miss Porter's school for a weekend. We might go to Salisbury for a weekend. Um, we will do different kinds of things. We'll see movies together. We'll do things like that. But we also do community service with girls' schools. We go on field trips with girls' schools. So we do things off campus as well. But that Saturday is usually on someone's campus, and it could just be them getting together and being kids, have a bonfire, let them have s'mores and, have a good time, listen to music, just let them be teenagers together and get to know each other and socialize. And then again, we could we could get on a big bus and we could go down to New York City and we could all go, to a play together and then go out to dinner. So it kind of it depends on exactly what we're planning at any given moment. But every Saturday you will have an opportunity to do something with girls and boys.
Perfect. And I think that's actually the beauty of Trinity-Pawling is that it's also super close to New York City, which just gives it a
Yeah.
lot of access to all of the resources that, of course, we have. I'm a native New Yorker, so I can speak to that. But of course, Trinity-Pawling is pretty close by, which is always nice. How far away is it again?
60 miles. So
60
it takes
miles.
about an hour and 15 minutes it'll take you to get to the city.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty, so actually, moving along here, let's kind of switch gears to focusing in on international students. And of course, a lot of international students are starting to hear more about Trinity-Pawling. They are applying. So we have a question here in the chat. How does the school help and provide special support, maybe ESL learning, or even just transitional support for international students?
So international kids, they definitely need that support, especially in the beginning when they first get here. So we have an international student orientation. You guys will come a little earlier than when school really starts, and we will help to kind of show you around a little more and kind of break the ice for you to kind of get used to school here. We do have our international school student coordinator is Chinese, so for the students that come from China, they kind of have that's a little edge that you guys get because we have kids from all over the world that come here and the coordinator speaks Chinese and not, German and French and Italian and stuff like that. So she's very, very helpful for our Chinese students because when there is a language barrier, especially sometimes with a parent, sometimes a student will be okay speaking English and the parent won't. And so she's able to be there to help the parents through this whole start of school. We offer, in addition to the international orientation, the rest of the students will get to school and we'll continue to do the beginning of the year orientation with everyone. So now the international students are getting to know everybody here at the same time as they're getting to figure out what's going to happen themselves. I do think that it probably, for any given student, it takes a couple of weeks to really, really settle, and that's okay. That's even if you come to school here from New York City, this is going to be a new place. So everybody's going to go through that period of time where they need to settle in. And we do have that extra support for the international kids so that if they're feeling extra lost, extra homesick, we can step up and help them. In the classroom, we have what we call the English Mastery Program. So it's not a program where you're just learning English as a second language. We're actually teaching you basics of the English language. So you're learning almost as a young, like we take you kind of backwards to how a younger American student would start to learn how to read and write. And we teach you about the basics of the English language phonetically and how to write and how to learn that way. And it's a quick tutorial. It happens in about a month of time. But then we're able to move ahead with these guys because most of you guys, even if you don't speak English well, are usually pretty bright students and they pick up very quickly. And this program is able to show them that basics while afterwards being able to take them and move on to learning to write the kinds of things that they're going to need to write to go to universities here in the States. So to be able to write not just good paragraphs and good pages of work, but many pages of work. So by the time you leave here, you're able to write a very, very long paper. And so that program is very, very supportive. And then we place you in other classes based on how we think, like if you're going to take a US history class, we might put you in a little bit lower level class because you might not know as much. But if you're going to take maybe a physics class or a chemistry class or something like that, and you do very well in that, we can move you into an honors level. And for older students, there's 19 APs. So they won't hold them back in any way. And we do, in those first days of school, assess where a student really is. We've looked at transcripts, we've accepted them, so we kind of have an idea where we think they are. I've met them, or somebody in my office has met the kids. We've talked to them, we've seen a TOEFL. So we kind of know where they are. But then when we actually get to meet them and they're here, then we can really take that first week of school and assess if we've placed them incorrectly or if we think they need something different or more.
Excellent. And I know that you kind of focus in on a lot of the academic playing fields, the way Trinity-Pawling can help a child from an academic perspective. If we just switch gears a little bit to focusing on that social, emotional well-being of the student, what sorts of support does Trinity-Pawling have to make sure that every single student, regardless of where they're coming from, is feeling supported? Can you touch base a little bit maybe on advisory and mentorship at Trinity-Pawling?
Sure. So we have, there's different levels of mentorship at school. Everyone has an advisory that they're part of. Everybody here at school, teachers and administrators, I'm one of them. We have our advisory. We have our group of kids. I had all of my boys at my house for dinner last night. They came at 6 o'clock and they ate and they stayed at my house till 9 o'clock, just talking and hanging out with each other and just figuring things out. But on top of that, then there's a larger advisory group. There's a whole, for every grade, there's a whole group of teachers that get together once a week to talk about kids that are struggling and what we can do for them and who we might have them speak with. We have a school counselor here. We have a couple of different areas for meditation and quiet rooms and rooms where kids, when sometimes they're feeling overwhelmed, they just need to go and relax. Even during the academic day, if they need a break and they're just completely overwhelmed, they can talk to their advisor or they can talk to a teacher. And then we can get them into the right place where they need to be. So there's a lot of levels of people that can help them. And there's a lot of, it's not even necessarily if they're struggling, they might they might be a student that just is that gravitates toward wanting to, mindfulness and that kind of stuff. And we do have spaces like that. We have a Zen center here, and it's part of our health center. We also have a wonderful health center, and those ladies and gentlemen that work down there are always available to, they run the Zen center, but they're always available to talk to. And then Katie, who is our school counselor, is a wonderful, wonderful woman. She's a social worker and she meets with lots and lots of kids. She also teaches psychology and sociology, but she is a wonderful mentor to all here, including the adults on campus. So there's a lot of stopgaps. If things aren't going right, there's a lot of places for a student to go, and very rarely will we see a kid that'll slip through the cracks. Usually, if they're too shy to tell us they're struggling, we can figure it out. You get to know kids, they're spending time with dorm parents, teachers, coaches. Somebody's going to pick up on the fact that a kid is struggling, and we'll get them the help they need.
All right, excellent. So definitely seems like there's a lot of support at Trinity-Pawling just for all of our families listening. So it seems like, Kim, we actually went through a lot of the questions that have been going on in the chat. I know it's a little bit on the later side. So my last question just focus a little bit more on admissions, all of that information that families love to hear. So I know that Trinity-Pawling starts at grade 7. Of course, it finishes at grade 12. Can you just briefly speak to the entry years in which you're accepting more students?
So most of our international students, we see a lot of them now coming in eighth grade instead of ninth. We don't have a huge eighth grade here though. So our eighth grade, our middle school, seventh and eighth grade together, is only about 30 kids. This year we're 28, 30 kids. So, and we like to keep it around that size. We might let it get a little bigger, but we don't want it to get too big because we do want it to be small classes so that we can really focus on what those kids need. Because students that are younger need more than kids that are in the upper school. So those middle school age kids need a little more TLC. So I always tell people if you're thinking about eighth grade to come here, I would say you want to apply early and or at least by the deadlines because there's not as many spots. But then the kids that don't look to us to come here in middle school, um, we have a large influx of kids that come in ninth grade. I would say most of our international kids come in eighth or ninth grade. We get the random, sophomore, junior that'll come, but the vast majority of international kids will come early and stay for the entire time.
Excellent. And then in terms of admissions and through the process, of course, you're interviewing, you're getting to know so many different students and families. Is there some sort of ideal applicant? Are there some characteristics that make for a strong potential applicant that your team likes to see that you don't mind sharing with us today?
Sure, sure. So, I mean, everybody loves smart kids that do well in school, and there's hundreds and hundreds of them. And I think that we always are looking for the kid that stands out differently. What else do you bring to the table? Because here at school, because we're an all boys school, we always tell kids to think outside of the box, do things outside of the box, do things you would never do before, because there's no competition here. There's no reason why if you've never acted, maybe you want to try it. So I'm always looking for the kid that has, I'll read his essays and I'll read these great essays about like the way they're artistic or the way that they have a hobby that they do. Sometimes the kids will do magic, for me during the interview. We'll do a Zoom interview and they'll be doing magic. I love the different stuff, and I think most people here do love when we see kids that bring something different to the table. But we also, as a school, many people when they visit here comment on how nice it is here, how friendly the boys are, how pleasant it is to go through the admissions experience here. It is over and over again. Probably the best comment we get is, "You guys are so nice." So we, in turn, and this is probably why we're nice, is because we really look for nice kids. So when I meet with a student and we can connect and we can have a great conversation, and I don't have to just ask them questions that I've written on a piece of paper, and they don't have to just ask me questions, but we can just talk and have a great conversation, and they can tell me about their family, their dogs, their cats, their cousins, their aunts and uncles, anybody that's come to the States, about things they love in life, their travel. That is a kid that we love to talk to. That kind of well-rounded kid, because that is striving to make you guys really well-rounded.
Perfect. And I think this actually leads me to my last question, Kim, which is just a little bit more of a focus in on your graduates. So it seems like coming in, you're looking for that well-rounded sort of student, but of course, more importantly, you're looking for a compassionate, a nice kid with that spark. Now, by the time that students are leaving, they've gone through the Trinity-Pawling process and experience. What are maybe some of those defining qualities that your graduates typically leave with? I know every single graduate is different, but if you had to say and you had to define the pride in a nutshell, what would you say your graduates are leaving with?
Well, they are that really nice, confident, respectful, polite boy that everybody likes. When our kids go on interviews, when we bring about 200 schools a year on campus here, college wise. We bring many colleges and universities on campus. We had Syracuse here yesterday, and when they come and visit, that is the thing they tell us most about our boys is how accomplished they feel, how well-rounded, how confident, and how they're able to sit down and have a conversation with these people. They love that kind of a mature kind of kid that we turn out here. Um, the kids, will show up to meetings in jackets and ties, and this is not a jacket and tie world we live in anymore. So the fact that they see a kid in a jacket and tie is always kind of like a wow, look how great he looks. Um, but they also, I think kids also, while they're here, learn what they love best and what they want to do best. So we're pushing them in that direction. So the picture of a graduate we'd like to see is the kid who's chosen what he loves most and is going to focus on that because that's going to be where he wants to go in life. And he kind of knows that. He knows that's a field he wants to be in. He's spent a lot of time on it here. He's done a senior independent project on it. We do. I should touch on the fact that we do a freshman and a sophomore project, and then they do a junior global collaborative challenge, and then a senior independent project. All four of those things go on during between Thanksgiving and Christmas break. We have no classes, and the kids work on those things. The seniors will continue their independent projects typically through the end of the year, and they will graduate with a diploma of distinction for those projects. But the other kids will finish them up in those 2 weeks. So that was just kind of an aside because I didn't mention it before. But those projects go on to their transcripts. So when we send a transcript out, and they're able to, and a school is able to click on a link and watch a movie that a student made, or watch that they've been a part of a Trinity-Pawling Sports Nation, and they broadcast all these games, and they're able to watch it live. We get a lot of calls from schools saying how much they love that we include that in the transcript.
Perfect. Well, I think that was a great way to really wrap all this up. It seems like there are so many amazing aspects of Trinity-Pawling, and I hope to our families who are here watching, the application is out. There are definitely admissions events that you can register for on their website, but I would always say the best way of seeing and learning more about the school is to visit in person and to experience that magic for yourself. So if you are in the United States, if you are in New York, definitely take on a trip to Pawling right off the Metro North. And so really with that, Kim, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really, really appreciated you having you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone who came, for coming in and watching me do this presentation.
Of course. Thank you again, Kim.
Have a great day.
All righty. Goodbye. Goodbye.